Smell good vegan jad. And in the news tonight.
Hello, welcome to Real Life with Nicole. I'm Nicole Dyer Griffith. For this month on Real Life with Nicole, we'll be exploring the gamut of health and wellness. This week, we'll have a conversation with Dr. SWRHA and a few members of his staff of the Southwest Regional Health Authority, and they'll take us through from the old San Fernando General Hospital into the new San Fernando Teaching Hospital at Chancery Lane. I promise you it will be exciting to see a number of the new things and technologies available for you at the San Fernando Chancery Lane Hospital. Then we'll have a look at Petrotrin and the Petrotrin EAP Services Limited. So you'll have a wide range of activities and health and wellness related issues coming from the Southland. So join me as we continue our look into health and wellness right here on Real Life.
Smell good vegan jad. And in the news tonight.
Dr. SWRHA, Chairman of the Southwest Regional Health Authority, thank you for joining us on Real Life. I noted that in the strategic plan that I had a quick viewing of, that it made mention of the SWRHA serving one of the half of the nation's population, over 1/3 of Trinidad and Tobago spread. That is a significant population to service from a perspective of healthcare. Share a little bit about that.
It is indeed, Nicole, and thank you for having me. We have a tremendous responsibility. Our boundaries extend from central, from Couva, as far west as Point Fortin and as far east as Princestown and Rio Claro.
Right.
So we do indeed serve, we're responsible for about 600,000 of the population. Our figures indicate that last year, for example, in 2013, we had over 850,000 patient visits.
Wow.
That's a significant number.
That is huge, yes.
Yeah. We provide these services through two major hospitals, the San Fernando General Hospital and the Point Fortin area hospitals. We also have three what we call district health facilities at Couva, Princestown and Siparia, and we also have 33 health centers spread throughout that geographical region.
Yeah, very significant. Now, I noticed as well that one of your mottos or the framework within which you developed your strategic plan is reintroducing the terminology care back into healthcare. What was your thinking behind that?
The thinking behind that is that what we've recognized is that we have a high quality care in terms of the clinical care that we provide for patients. We have good doctors, we have good nurses, but what I've noticed over the last few years since I've become chairman of this board is that the majority of complaints relate to the care, the quality of care that patients are receiving. And I don't mean the surgery, I don't mean the drug treatment, I mean the way they are dealt with by sometimes some of our staff. And that is why we took healthcare, we dissected it, and we thought we need to reintroduce quality, we need to introduce care in healthcare. So that's a theme for our new strategic plan, and it forms one of our core values.
Right. I also noticed in your mission that you spoke to the issue of wellness. How important is the issue of wellness, meaning the absence of ill health, to the SWRHA in its the promotion of its duties?
It is extremely important, Nicole. What we see here, the great majority of our care here is for patients who are suffering from end-stage disease, complications of diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity. Those are the complications we see. That is what causes the overcrowding in our wards, for example, which, as you know, is a major issue.
Yeah.
We have recognized that if we were to treat and look at wellness and try to get patients to control their diet, exercise, that we can actually prevent some of these complications. And that is why there's a big emphasis on wellness as opposed to just treating end-stage disease.
Now, I saw in the news some time ago the launch of the new San Fernando Teaching Hospital at Chancery Lane. I recall that there was some type of conversation around the use of the hospital. What was your thinking in transforming the use of the hospital, transforming the use of that space from an office space into a hospital space?
I'll tell you something. The last time that a new hospital was built, the San Fernando General Hospital was built in 1955, some 60 years ago. And the people of the South have not had a new hospital for over 60 years.
Yeah.
When that space became available, The idea came from the doctors, that we should perhaps look at that space, which is right adjacent to the San Fernando General Hospital, to create additional bed space and outpatient space for the hospital. Fortunately, Honorable Prime Minister was agreeable to that idea, and then it became a reality. So on February 6, 2014, that is a very significant date for us. It marked the first time in 60 years that patients from the south and perhaps from all over the country were able to access a new health facility.
And what has been some of the feedback?
So far, we've been operating for almost just over a month, and the feedback has been excellent. Patients are very happy, the staff is very happy. It represents a new environment for both our staff and our patients.
I noticed that you do have a strategic plan 2013 to 2016. What has been some of the work and the thinking into going into this strategic plan?
Moving forward, of course, we strive to continue to provide excellent clinical care. What we also want to do in this strategic plan is we want to look at the quality aspects, what you call the hotel aspects of inpatient care, making a patient's stay as comfortable as possible, dealing with their complaints. As I mentioned earlier, many of the complaints we have is that someone didn't treat them well, the staff didn't look after them, not from administering medication or doing the right operation, but really from the customer service aspect. So that's a big focus for us. We're also looking at patient convenience. We're also looking at maybe opening some of our health centers, extending the hours, perhaps even on Saturdays and evenings, so that patients, it's convenient for patients to access the health care. One of the problems we have is we have overcrowding and casualty on a chronic basis. We recognize that if the patients are able to go to the health centers and get the care sometimes after 4 o'clock, that will address that problem. So it's all focused on improving our quality, putting back the care in healthcare, and making the care much more convenient for patients.
Very excellent initiatives. In keeping with the extension of the opening hours for health centers, that is of course directly linked to the issue of promotion of wellness, so that they can look at primary healthcare rather than ending up in a tertiary healthcare scenario. What have you been doing to continue to promote that wellness drive and so?
Yeah, we already have 2 health centers that are open until 10 at night. We have one at in Freeport, and we have one at Pleasantville.
Let's stick a pin there. Let's say that again, because so that people would know this. You have 2 health facilities, 2 health centers that are open until 10 p.m.
That's correct.
These are?
In Freeport and Pleasantville.
Okay,
in San Fernando.
Freeport and Pleasantville.
Plus remember that we have the 3 district health facilities in Couva, Princestown, and Sipari that are open 24/7 and fully staffed with accident and emergency departments. So patients do have access to these facilities before they come to the San Fernando Hospital.
Well, that is excellent. Let's say that one more time, because just to make sure. The reason why I'm saying that is because many times something happens, you go straight to the general hospital.
That's correct.
Not being aware that you can access your health center, you can access the district health facility. So just reiterate that point.
Patients traditionally has been an issue with doctors not being available at some of the health centers, medication not being available. So there has been a mindset amongst patients that perhaps the easiest thing is just to come to the San Fernando Hospital, where you're guaranteed to see a doctor and to get medication. The problem with that, of course, is that sometimes the patients who are not so acute, there is something called a triad system in casualty, which means that if you come with a heart attack, for example, you are seen immediately. But if you come with a pain in your big toe, then you end up waiting for a long time. And patients complain about that. They need to understand that the health centers, now the situation has improved. We're making an effort to make sure the doctors work until 4 o'clock. All health centers are open until 4. And we also are making an effort to make sure that the medication is available. So we want to encourage the patients who that maybe first they should seek health care at the health centers and the district health facilities, and then come to San Fernando.
Wonderful news. Closing comments, Dr. Boodoo.
I would want to say that with the opening of the San Fernando Teaching Hospital, it has brought a new hope to the patients and the staff. It's a brand new facility. And I'm also hoping that the staff especially will embrace the new facility. I am hoping that we can drive some sort of change in the culture of the organization, so we become a more caring organization as we continue to provide healthcare for the people of the South and of, indeed, Trinidad and Tobago.
Well, you're certainly on the right track. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
on the headlines, dreadlines for the headlines, thousands on the breadline, no good news on the headlines.
Oh, what a great situation. What really going on in the nation? Oh, what a great situation. Oh.
I'm here with Mr. Anil Gosain, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the Southwest Regional Health Authority. So we'll explore a little bit about the operational aspects of running such a mammoth organization. Mr. Gosain, thank you so much for joining me.
And thanks a lot for having me here.
We have had a full day of exploration of this organization. Tell us a little bit about what does it take to run such a mammoth organization?
Well, first of all, this organization has a staff, a monthly paid staff of over 5,000 persons, which is one
5,000 persons.
5,000, which is one of the biggest organizations, government-run organizations in Trinidad and Tobago and maybe the Caribbean. In this organization, apart from having 2 hospitals, we have 3 district health facilities, 31 health centers, and also elderly homes, where we have 2 external elderly homes. So it's a huge organization, and it covers maybe almost half the population of Trinidad coming to the Southwest Regional Health Authority. The other thing about our organization, it covers over 1/3 the land space of Trinidad. So it's huge. And I can't sit in San Fernando alone and run an organization like this. It is huge. Fortunately for me, I have a very good executive staff. I have a board that supports me. And every week, every 2 weeks, we do have our executive meeting. So we are in close contact. We're in close contact with the community. And if we are not, we are in trouble in this organization.
Now we're sitting in the new San Fernando Teaching Hospital on Chancery Lane. And one of the first things that I noticed, well, in addition to it being absolutely fantastic aesthetically and otherwise from a technological perspective, I noticed a lot of emphasis has been placed on identifying color schemes, and so was thought and scientific background put into that?
Well, within this hospital, we did have what we call health architects. And the health architects will work depending on what wards you're dealing with. In the children's ward, you will have certain colors. But the other thing you'll find, like in outpatients clinic, the flooring will have certain colors. So the color codes are what patients will look at. Because you know, you would have elderly patients that can see the colors, but they may not be able to read what's on the walls. So over a period of time, the outpatient clinic, the patients that are coming in, just the colors will guide them to where they have to go.
So it's that specific?
It is very specific, the coloring. In health and in many architectural areas, colors play an important part now.
But not only that, from the terms of specificity, but also the levels. Share with us a little bit about the levels of technological advancement that we're looking at in this new San Fernando Teaching Hospital.
Well, the level of advancement, and I'll tell you, while it's advanced here at San Fernando General Hospital, the teaching hospital, we also have the level of advancement in the existing system, in the sense that here it's infrastructure, but our equipment that we've been purchasing, especially in the health sector, is the most modern equipment that you can find worldwide. You'll find in the public sector, the equipment for operating theaters, all our specialties, we usually purchase the latest. And not only that, our doctors, our nurses, our biomedical persons are trained to use it properly, and this has been done here in San Fernando, in the Southwest, and Trinidad generally.
Now, I had a very brief look at your strategic plan into 2016, and I asked this of each person that I spoke with, because your chairman mentioned to me and underscored the importance of the reintroduction and the re-emphasis of care in the word health care. How does that tie into the operational aspects?
It does. And you'll find it doesn't transcend to the patient alone, it transcends to the relationships among colleagues. Care is something that we've neglected, and when I say neglected, in Trinidad and on the whole, you'll find that care is something we neglected over the years. But what makes one comfortable is care. What makes one comfortable is when they come to a facility, not that it's pretty, but someone takes care of them. They know what they're going to get, and this is what is happening at Southwest. We are taking care of our employees, we are taking care of our patients. Our nurse manager will tell you, among her nurses now, because of care, there's a closeness, there's a bond between patient and nurse. The doctors, you will find a lot of articles being said now that the doctors are now responding to the patient's needs. And this is what people want. They want people to be there for them and take care of them. And we are working on it, and this is where we are going. And we think that's an important factor in our strategic plan for the next 3 years.
The most important. Well said. Thank
you.
you so much for joining me. I'm here with Betty Ann Pilgrim, the nurse manager for the Southwest Regional Health Authority, who will give us an overview of the nursing perspective as it relates to healthcare. Thank you so much for joining me, Betty Ann, if you don't mind me calling you that, of course. But now, give us a little bit of insight into the entire nursing process as it relates to healthcare. Dr. Boodoo had mentioned to us a little bit earlier that there is a huge emphasis on wellness as it pertains to SWRHA. So share with us.
Wow. That's a big question. No, the nursing process is done by all the nursing staff. We have some challenges in some area. The nursing process entails assessment, planning, implementation, and evaluation. And all nurses are trained in order to do this process. However, because of the challenges with staff at times, the entire process is not done, but we always do assessment and planning and implementation. Right. So that happens in the healthcare system. What was the other part?
Wellness.
Oh, definitely. At the moment, not only in San Fernando, but across Trinidad and Tobago, we have a challenge with overcrowding. And we believe in the Southwest that to deal with that properly, we have to deal with wellness.
Absolutely.
So over the last couple of years especially, we have employed a number of persons in the community to manage this process. So you have emphasis on patient education, not only in the community but also at the hospital. We have the community liaison unit, we also have the patient education and counseling unit, and also every nurse can teach patients at the bedside. So yes, but generally, we need more staff for the community where we can do more of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Share a little bit more about that, the community liaison emphasis.
Okay. In the UK and America and other countries, the focus is on community care. But of course, the system is different.
Yeah.
But we need to have enough staff in the community so that the patients can access healthcare in the community. Right now, we have systems set up in Trinidad and Tobago for that, but the culture is where people tend to come to the hospital for treatment.
Yeah.
So we are trying to get rid of that. So, okay, in the community we have the clinics, we have health visitors, district nurses, and we also have some registered nurses and enrolled nursing assistants in the community. Now, the patients living within a particular catchment area should access the health center there.
Right.
And when they go to the health center, and now we have district health facilities, you access those and you get your treatment there, so that we shouldn't have people coming into San Fernando General Hospital. But again, as I said, culturally, people have been moving straight from home, coming to the hospital, which we are trying hard to stop.
Well, I know that has been something that has been going on for a number of years.
Yeah.
Dr. Boodoo also made mention about that, you know, trying to curtail it at the primary healthcare level rather than it ending up at tertiary healthcare, because you always have the issue of overpopulation. Whilst we were looking at the hospital from the old hospital into the new hospital, I noticed that as we were walking through, many of the patients and many of the nurses were interacting with you on a one-to-one basis. Is this your modus operandi, the way in which you manage?
Yes, yeah. I walk the hospital. Sometimes because of meetings, too many meetings, I don't get to walk as often as I would like to. But over the carnival period, I walked on Sunday and Monday to meet the staff, to thank them for coming, and so on. And I have an open door policy as well, so nurses can come and see me at any time. Once I'm available, I see them. Sometimes I leave my lunch or leave a meeting to come out and talk to a nurse. So yes, we have that sort of relationship.
And do you find that the way in which you manage your staff translates into the way in which they treat with the patients?
That's a toughie. I'm trying to get that. As I was saying, it's a change of culture because the way I manage is different from how other persons in my position manage. So people are getting used to my way, so to speak. And so I have much more communication. We have lots more meetings with the nurses so that information can filter down easily to them. So I guess you can say yes, but we have a long way to go to where I would like to see nursing be.
Where is that?
Right. The world that I have in my mind, or what I would like to see, is when nurses interact more with the patient, where the patient is more the center of care. I'm not saying that that doesn't happen, but sometimes, I'm not going to pretend, you've heard negatives about nurses in the media and so on. But if people really come and spend more time with us, they'd realize we have a lot more nurses who are doing the right thing than nurses who are not. And you know, Trinidad culture, sometimes we don't know how to speak to people, sometimes we get upset and all of that. But my world is where the nurses, well, let me go back a little bit. In July last year, we started something called intentional rounding, and the name Nurse Initiative. And that's where every patient and their relative coming into the organization would know who their carer is. So in my world, the patient and the relatives as well as the nurse are like partners in care. So when somebody comes in, they will know the nurse that's caring for them. The nurse would explain things to them, and there were 5 points we gave to them. One, when you come in, you introduce yourself. You identify who you are. You tell the patient and the relative what you're there for, what exactly you're going to do, and why. And I'm getting a kind of senior moment. And at the end of doing everything, you would say to the patient, "What else can I do for you?" So there were 5 steps. I can't remember the other 2, but that's what I've passed on to every nurse in the organization, so that I would say in the next couple of years, there will be a completely different San Fernando General Hospital, because, you know, to change culture, it takes time.
Yeah.
But we're taking it a little bit at a time.
I think you're on the absolute right track. It is in keeping with your strategic plan. It is in keeping with every single thing that every person I've spoken to thus far have said, so that you're all on the same page. And you're doing a great job. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. I'm here with Dr. Parag, who is the head of the pediatrics unit at the Southwest Regional Health Authority. And he's going to give us a little run into the pediatric unit from the old into the new. Dr. Parag, so we had an overview of the old pediatric unit, and now we're here in this spanking new, bright, wonderful, clean, beautiful new unit. Tell us a little bit about this new unit in the San Fernando Teaching Hospital.
Well, I mean, this is something we've been waiting for a long time. I mean, I've been working in pediatrics for about 30 years, and this is a major transformation from the overcrowded, hot, humid conditions where you all visited. Now we're into a real state-of-the-art facility, which is probably first world in nature. We have a floor here dedicated strictly to pediatrics, both general pediatrics and pediatric surgery. And this is the outpatient area where we're running clinics 5 days a week, all day. Okay. And this has brought out, I mean, just having this new facility increases production. Everybody seems to be happy. I mean, and even the patients are happy.
But of course, as we walked in, I am not ill, but when I walked in and I saw the colors and I saw the pictures on the wall, the place is so clean, I said, but I could just lie down here.
Wait till let's go to the pediatric outpatient department, all the various paintings and the play areas and what have you. It's really, really, really first world.
It is first world.
Yeah, state of the art. And I hope we can maintain that and provide that kind of service to our children. At the end of the day, it's patient satisfaction, and that's what we're here for.
Well, that's nice that you mentioned that, because that ties nicely into the strategic plan that Dr. Bodo had spoken to, and looking at the reintroduction or the re-emphasis of care into the whole gamut of healthcare.
That's correct. You know, and we hope we will reinforce that. And in fact, I have a wonderful team of doctors, and they're all for that. And most of them into postgraduate training, in keeping with the teaching hospital.
Right.
So they're on the right foot, and I can assure the children of South that they're in good hands.
Well, absolutely. And when is this going to be opened?
Well, as I said, the outpatient area is open already, and the inpatient services, which we're going to have 2 floors, 48 beds, which previously we had less than 40 beds in the old building. Now we're going to have 48. That should be open in about 6 weeks' time.
That's extremely exciting.
both for us and I'm sure for the patients.
Absolutely. When you think about the huge catchment area that this regional health authority services, and you marry that with this type of facility that, as you mentioned, is absolutely first world, on par with any other health organization that I
Definitely.
have seen across the world, it really is something that's very exciting.
Yeah, because when we train in a first world setting and we come back home and we see what we have to put up, the adverse conditions we work under, and suddenly this transformation, you feel great, you feel good,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to help, and with this it's going to drive now for further development, like generating new clinics, pediatric ICU, pediatric emergency department, which we don't have in South at this point in time. So we look at this as a catalyst for child health services and pediatrics in South Trinidad.
So tell me something. Because of the state-of-the-art facility that you have here, is there a vision in the near future that it will expand beyond SWRHA? Because when you look at these services are not readily available regionally.
Right. So, I mean, I know there will be hopefully a children's hospital in Central Trinidad, but before that, I think what we provide in South can be expanded to a national level. For example, pediatric neurology services, the only one in the country right now in South. Then we're expanding our pediatric cardiology service. So we can take care of it. We expand on a national level. In fact, currently we have patients coming in from San Grande Hospital, Eric William Medical Science, etc., to our institution here. So yes, we're trying to cater for the Southwest population, but at the end of the day, nationally, in perspective.
And you're certainly doing an excellent job.
Well, I hope so.
Dr. Parag, thank you so much.
Great.
For
It
chatting
was a
with
pleasure
us.
talking to you.
We're here at the new San Fernando Teaching Hospital at Chancery Lane, and I'm joined by Nurse Caesar, who is the nurse in charge of the outpatient clinic. Nurse Caesar, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Tell us a little bit about what takes place here at this new outpatient clinic.
Well, the area is new, but the clinics have been here from time immemorial. We have surgical clinics, we have medical clinics, we have oncology, we have diabetic clinics. It's about nearly, I must say, about 20 different clinics that are hosted here for the week. In some clinics, we have 100 and something patients, like the renal clinic today. We have 100 and something patients coming in, and sometimes, because of the wait, our patients are tired, they are not feeling well, so they become angry and dissatisfied with the service. Of course, we try to ensure that all that we have to do for them before the doctor comes, it is done, so that when doctor comes, their names are called and they go inside. Of course, at times we have a few notes that cannot be found, and patients are still coming at 4:30 and 5 o'clock, even though they are told that their clinic is in the afternoon or that their clinic is later. They are still coming at 5 o'clock. Some of them say they come 4:30, and when this happens, they are angry because they have to sit and wait for a long time. So like this morning, when we told them that they have to leave, okay, when they came with their letters, those who come with letters to get appointment to certain clinics, and the renal clinic, they are asked to come back at 1. So if they are here since 4, they have to wait until 1 to come and collect the letters and get a date for the clinic. So waiting is not something that a lot of us want to wait,
But certainly waiting in an environment like this is much better than what it was before.
Well, it might be to a person who is young and sometimes, but certain patients who think that if they come early, they should leave early. We don't get that. We are going to get some angry comments, and sometimes I have to come out from my office and speak to them and explain why the process is so long. Of course, at times afterwards, they will calm down, and I try my best. Like if I hear someone out there and they are quarreling, and I come out. I don't wait. I will come and ask, what is the problem? How can I help? How can I assist? And I do try.
No, and I see that you have a huge population of people waiting for you. So thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Okay, Anne-Marie, is this your first experience at this new hospital?
Yes, because I bring my mom here. My mom, Radhika Taylor, she come to see doctor today. Well, that's the first time I've ever seen about the hospital. It's very nice, it's comfortable, it's good for the people, poor people like us in Trinidad and Tobago. I hope the government could do more, but she do her best. She do her best, bringing our hospital for us and for the people in the public and everything.
So you're enjoying the new facility?
Yeah, enjoying it. I take a tour and have different area. Just one thing, they forget to put the canteen for the other because a lot of patients complain about the canteen, but it's very nice, safe and everything. Security very friendly. The nurses and doctors, wherever you can go, they'll be showing you which part it is.
Well, thank you so much, Anne-Marie, and I wish your mother all the best.
Well, thank you very much.
Good smell, good vegan Jad. And in the news tonight.
The Petroleum Oil Company of Trinidad and Tobago is known for a number of initiatives. One of these is that of the EAP services. EAP, of course, standing for Employee Assistance Program Services. Not many people may know about the EAP program that is provided by Petrotrin. So this evening I have with me the CEO of Petrotrin EAP Services Limited, Mrs. Carol Pilgrim Bristol, who will be sharing a little bit about the EAP services provided by Petrotrin to its employees and dependents, and of course to the wider population across Trinidad and Tobago, as we continue to explore the whole gamut of wellness and health issues throughout Trinidad and Tobago. So, Mrs. Bristol, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Good. We have known each other. It's like I tell everybody that I've spoken to, we have known each other for so long. It's because I've known so many people in so many different incarnations. Tell us a little bit about your history in Petrotrin before we go into Petrotrin EAP services.
Well, maybe I can start with me being your chaperone during the Miss Universe.
Yes.
I don't think many people know that. If anybody asks me what is my best kept secret, that would be it. I joined Petrotrin in 1989 as an attorney, a litigation attorney, and I have moved up the ranks. My current position of Chief Executive Officer came after 25 years. I just finished 25 years in Petrotrin. And it has been an experience. Petrotrin, of course, as you would appreciate, is a company that is multifaceted. We have hospitals, we have exploration and production facilities, we have EAP services, we have cultural events, we have steel pans, we have the whole works. So that for me, it has been an experience, a positive one, in the sense that I think that Petrotrin makes a positive contribution to our society. And to our community, and EAP, of course, is the icing on the cake.
Well, this series is about health and wellness. So tell me about your personal segue from Petrotrin, the parent company, into Petrotrin EAP Services Limited. What inspired that?
Well, I've been seconded to Petrotrin EAP, and in Petrotrin itself, I functioned partially as a peer counselor, that is providing support to employees. And the concept of EAP, employee assistance, is to assist employees. The objective, of course, is to increase productivity and to allow for employees to experience wellness, enjoy their time at work, because work itself is stressful. The whole saying of when you leave your home and you come into the workplace, you must leave your troubles at the door, does not work. You can't leave yourself at the door, so that very often people come with their baggage, but they've got to cope in the work environment. With EAP, there was a need, there was a vacancy, and it was felt that at this point in time, maybe the skills that I have adopted or that I've acquired over the years, I could contribute, and the organization continues to provide opportunities for its employees. So this was one that I was given an opportunity, and I embraced it.
As is per norm. So let's talk about EAP. What is an employee assistance program?
Okay, employee assistance, this is a mechanism that we use to assist employees to increase their productivity, that would allow employees who are troubled or experiencing difficulties, and it's not only employees, although we refer to it as an employee assistance program, it is extended to employees, it's extended to managers and leaders and to the organization as a whole. So that at the end of the day you are definitely dealing with the wellness of the individual and the wellness of the organization, because we're ensuring that an employee during his tenure at the workplace is able to experience and increase his productivity, and at the same time, once there's a high level of productivity in an organization, then the organization has a competitive edge, and of course a competitive edge gives you success in an organization. So that this is not a new concept. We would have started with EAP in Petrotrin in its predecessor company Trintalk as far back as 1988. In fact, Petrotrin recently would have experienced 25 years of EAP in its organization, and we started off assisting employees who would have had alcoholism abuse, and that has transcended today, where we not only extend to employees but to their dependents, so that you have spouses, you have children, whether you are 2-3 years old, because there are children that have experiences that sometimes their parents are not able to cope with, and of course we go all the way up to 18-year-olds or even older, because there are children who are still at home, full-time education, and we do provide support to them. Even retirees, you have up to about 3 months after you've left the organization that we still provide you with support.
What type of services does an EAP program offer?
We normally provide, at least the core would be counseling, because the core personnel in an EAP would be psychologists, social workers, so they extend support to individuals in terms of counseling, providing you with advice, providing you with a mechanism to treat with issues or circumstances that are challenging in your life. We do also have persons who are trained in business, financial management, in wellness, because we do extend, for example, health fairs in organizations. We do also help you in terms of planning, estate management, all issues that impact an individual, certainly in their behavior, in their psyche, or that in any way may inhibit you in terms of performing at your very best. We do, if we don't have the in-house resources to do that, we will certainly co-opt individuals, and we do have a category of individuals that we would source outside of the organization in order to provide that support.
Now tell me I know that Petrotrin EAP services has done a lot of work in terms of critical incidents and responding to critical incidents. Share a little bit about that aspect of the EAP.
Okay, well, certainly in the energy sector, and Petrotrin EAP does not only work in the energy sector, but having its genesis in the energy sector, I think it's where we have acquired the most skills and of course knowledge. For example, Petrotrin would have experienced an oil spill recently, and that would have had a very damning or debilitating effect on the community. It is a critical incident because it would have affected employees, and it would also have affected the communities within which we work. And so we would have had assistance in that area. There are psychosocial issues that impact on that. There are also behavioral aspects. There are also health issues. There are issues in terms of coping with the stress, because I'm sure there would have been circumstances where individuals would have had to work very long hours, going through very circumstances that would not have been beneficial to them. So that would have been in itself a circumstance where EAP would have responded.
Tell me a little bit about the acceptability of an EAP in the general population, because I would recall that some time ago, people may not necessarily have felt as comfortable as they may perhaps feel today when you speak with respect to issues of EAP and mental and emotional health and well-being. Share your experience.
Well, there are two things that I think people tend to have in terms of a perspective on EAP. One is the issue of confidentiality. We're a very small community, even though we consider ourselves a big nation. We are really a population that if you are not related to me, I'm related to somebody in your family. So that people feel very, very uncomfortable about sharing their very personal affairs. And if they do, they are very worried that that information will get out. So that confidentiality is very, very critical for us, so that when people come into our organization, We treat with that even from your having to come in, we treat with that. And so for the wider population, people would be concerned about, is my business going to be outside there? Who's going to know? Is it that I'm going to be tagged? And then of course there's also the view that EAP is for people who are mad or they have some sort of mental illness or so, and it is certainly not that. I'll give you an example that you know, people asked about transitioning from, and a topic that I know is that is very much on the public arena now, the C students, the secondary entrance exam. People talk about children having to cope. 11 or 12-year-old child has to make a transition from primary into secondary school. The talk of bullying, the talk of having to now have to do your own studies without having to depend on somebody to tell you everything that you have to do. They are coping mechanisms that not everyone is easily able to adapt to. So that EAP is not, while it is an employee assistance program, we do recognize that we're not isolated. In the home, there are many elements that will impact on an employee. And so a father would have his 11-year-old son, he will have his wife that has to cope with a difficult boss, he will have his own problems. So that EAP for any household, for any individual, for any employee can cover the gamut of your whole family.
Does the Petrotrin EAP Services Limited only relate to employees and dependents of Petrotrin employees, or do you offer the services on the outside as well?
We do offer. We are a subsidiary of Petrotrin, and so we are contracted to Petrotrin to provide service. But we do also offer to the person who walks off the street. So we do have walk-in clients. A person may be experiencing a death in the family and they want to know how to cope with it, or they're having a difficulty. So we do receive walk-in clients. We have offices in Port of Spain. We do provide services in Tobago when called upon. We don't have an office there, but we do if called upon, and we recently went across to do some retirement workshops there. So we do to other organizations as well. Some in the energy sector, quite a few in the energy sector, and quite a number in the banking and all the other sectors. So we do provide to quasi-governmental authorities and any organization that feels that there is a need for them to address issues internally that may impact on employees' ability to respond, the whole concept of wellness, whether it is mental, physical, or otherwise. We are able to discuss with you how we can resolve those together and find a way to help you to resolve.
So would you say that the EAP program is a subset of the entire wellness drive?
Definitely. It is definitely part of the whole wellness concept, because wellness is not just related to your medical issues. It deals with the whole being, whether it is mental, physical, or otherwise. And as I said, you have financial issues. And if you are stressed, then you cannot perform. If you're worried about your loan or paying your mortgage, or you have a relative that is dying, or you don't know how to deal with a cancer patient or whatever. So that I'm saying that EAP is a mechanism to assist individuals. And as I said, it is in the employer-employee relationship, but it is designed to assist you to become a wholesome being.
Well, from a wholesome perspective, it seems to me that Petrotrin, as a global parent company, presents itself as a well-rounded organization with all of these different aspects that it tends to cover. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, definitely. I think many years ago, I was working on one of these standardization exercises where we had to look at what are the legal issues that impact on an organization such as Petrotrin. And we couldn't find anything that did not impact on us. Nearly every aspect of the law, whether it was in purchasing, sales, whatever. Petrotrin, of course, has an impact on every aspect of our society. And to adopt an EAP program such as this one, is a recognition that an organization appreciates that an employee has a role to play, and that it is its most critical, its most crucial, its most valued asset. And I give credit in the sense that the EAP has continued to be embraced not only by the management, because a lot of what we have achieved has been through our unions, and the representative body has been very instrumental, particularly in allowing or facilitating or encouraging employees to have access to this facility. And I must say that because of that, you've got, I would say, a buy-in. There's still the skeptics. There's still those who will have a personal view that my business is outside there, and people would be, because there is a genuine concern. But I must say that our bargaining agents have been very supportive in this, and for that reason, it has benefited in Petrotrin.
You made mention that the EAP program has been in Petrotrin for 25 years.
Yes.
What are your thoughts of acceptability across the board in Trinidad and Tobago after having been in one organization like Petrotrin for 25 years?
I know that there are many other, because we continue to get a lot of calls from organizations. There's still a dearth of knowledge as to what EAP provides, and it's still, although one may argue that it's well known, certainly outside, within the local context, it's still a secret. And I know, certainly from my experience, organizations would call upon us, tell us what is happening. Recently I was speaking to a manager in the bank, and he says, you all provide services in that area. I didn't know that you all help us in terms of customer service. So it's still something that people are becoming aware of. There are other providers in the country. They may not necessarily approach it the way that we do, because we tend to be what I would say a pure EAP, but there are many who provide other services in terms of, you know, working with families and providing other workshops that work with, you know, in terms of management techniques and so on. But in terms of the core counseling services, PEEPSIL continues to provide that, and I think there is a growing demand in our country. Given the social network and what we see across the organization and the experiences of our nation and the different interest groups that are calling now for society to respond in different ways to different things that are happening, whether it is in the area of crime, whether it is in terms of victim management, even the call for, and this is one that Petrotrin would have embarked upon recently, which is the exposure in terms of mediation, and this was embraced by the judiciary as well and the Chamber of Commerce. Those are all mechanisms to try to find a way how to treat with the issues affecting society. And as I said, EAP is one, probably a secret in the eyes of many, but it's another tool that individuals can approach in terms of resolving many of the issues that we have facing our society.
What are your plans for the next few years for Petrotrin EAP services?
Well, we'll continue to expand our services. We would like to go a little further in terms of the counseling will remain certainly as our core, but we see ourselves being able to do some things in terms of corporate training, because we do appreciate that in the workplace there are areas, emotional intelligence, being able to deal with financial management, dealing with difficult people. There are other aspects of the individual that sometimes are taken for granted. And Petrotrin EAP would like to continue along that line, and we do feel that we have the skills, we have the expertise, we have the personnel that can provide that. I do believe we have the continuing support of our shareholder, Petrotrin, and I'd like to think that, you know, they will continue along that line. And maybe years ago when there was a hurricane in Grenada, Petrotrin EAP would have been instrumental in going across to Grenada and assisting that country in the re-establishment of a lot of their facilities and their support services. So that as we speak CARICOM, as we speak a wider Caribbean, there may be opportunities for us to go up the islands. Certainly dealing with what is at home first, but it is a vision.
Wonderful vision. Closing comments.
I think that in a society such as ours, we must not keep our mindset small. We must remember, even though we may be considered by some a dot in the ocean, we are really very competitive, and we really do have the skill sets that would take us beyond. And the vision for any organization, for any individual, for any employees to excel. PEEPSL is intent on doing that, and I think that that augurs well for our country if each individual embraces that as excellence is my mood.
Excellence is my mood. We've been chatting with Carol Pilgrim Bristol, the Chief Executive Officer of Petrotrin EAP Services Limited. Thank you very much, Carol.
You're most welcome.
Good smell, good vegan Jad. And in the news tonight.
So that has been Real Life with Nicole, the first in a series of issues as we continue to look at health and wellness. Join me next week as we continue to look at health and wellness as it pertains to fertility issues in Trinidad and Tobago, and then we'll have a look at aesthetics and the treatment of trichology in Trinidad and Tobago. So join me next week.